guys, what's up? It's me. Quick weekly check-in. Everything is still fucking terrible. So today we're talking about AI. Now, I avoided talking about AI for the simple reason that I did not feel like I knew enough to have an opinion that was worth a damn, first of all. And second of all, I think there were a lot of people speaking too soon. People who were like, oh, it's harmless, or people that were like, oh, it's the end of the world. And it's like, it's probably neither, but let's not jump to conclusions and sound the alarms, and let's also not ignore. Part of what I was concerned about happening, I got an article about the other day, and I was like, okay, well, this is it. This is what I was worried about. The prediction came true, unfortunately. Offenders confused about ethics of AI child sex abuse. A charity that helps people worried about their thoughts or behaviors says an increasing number of callers are feeling confused about the ethics of viewing AI child abuse imagery. The Lucy Faithfull Foundation, LFF, says AI images are acting as a gateway. The charity is warning that creating or viewing such images is still illegal, even if the children are not real. Neil, not his real name, contacted the helpline after being arrested for creating AI images. The 43-year-old denied that he had any sexual attraction to children. Neil, I have bad news for you. Why would you generate that? There's such a thing as morbid curiosity of, you know, I think every 13-year-old at some point, or at least back in my day, went on a gore website and saw something so fucked up that they were never the same after. That is still believable. When it's morbid curiosity about things that have to do with child sexual abuse, which I'm just gonna call CSA from here on out. When it has to do with CSA content, that's not morbid curiosity. That's you having a very deep, profound problem. You are not part of the FBI. You're not on some crime-solving unit where you have to see these pictures to help victims, to save someone's life. Like, there's no real reason that you need to be seeing this. So Neil, I would say get some help, but I don't think people with that condition can be helped. I think the only solution is prison. Just in case the humor police missed it, I'm not being entirely serious here. So I don't think the condition can be cured. I think it can be managed. So I do think that via therapy and other psych resources, you can be helped. So definitely get the help. What I am saying is that I'm not convinced that it ever goes away. And that's kind of like depression and anxiety. You manage it. The IT worker who used AI software to make his own indecent images of children using text prompts said he would never view such images of real children because he's not attracted to them. He claimed simply to be fascinated by the technology. He called the LF to try to understand his thoughts, and call handlers reminded him that his actions are illegal regardless of whether or not the children are real. The charity says it has had similar calls from others who are expressing confusion. Now, I'm gonna say that the usual rule of thumb on the internet, not about CSA content, just generally, if something feels illegal on the internet, if something feels like a scam on the internet, if something's too good to be true, if something is too marked down of price, there's something up. Trust your intuition and know to click off, to leave, to maybe throw your entire computer in the trash, move away, and start a new life. Truly, I really do think the rule of thumb on the internet is if it feels illegal, it probably is. Also, this whole thing of saying that you're just looking into images for research purposes, nobody has to be seeing that, and you cannot convince me there's any reason, unless you're on some fucking SVU, FBI type shit. There's no reason. You, Neil, at home alone at night looking at this shit? No, not buying it. I think it's important to think about this step by step for the simple reason that that's when you understand how fully fucking alarming it is, in the sense of you need to put text prompts. So someone has to go way out of their way to describe a particular scene. So if we work backwards from that, using mindfulness methods I learned at school, self-improvement who, if we work backwards from that, you need to come up with an entire scenario where a child is being sexually abused, which means that you need to imagine it, first of all, duh, but you need to imagine the details, the context, the child's age, the hair color, boy or girl. Like, all of these things, you think that's harmless? Like, even if the images aren't of real children, do you really think it's harmless in the grander scheme? Because in the grander scheme, to me, it's saying, okay, you're now questioning a lot of things that you should seek help for sure, but that for everyone should not be a question. It should not be a question whether quote unquote ethical child content should be out there. This is really just a way, in my opinion, for people to convince themselves that they don't have an issue. Because again, just because it's not a real child doesn't mean it won't have consequences. And also, yes, it is the slippery slope route, but can you genuinely tell me you're convinced that if someone, let's say every day for a month, saw a new generated picture of a fake kid in a horrifying situation, that at some point after those 30 days, they wouldn't be like, I wonder what the real thing is like? Can you genuinely say that no one's curiosity peaks if they're looking at that in the first place? I wouldn't trust that. And I don't even think it's a risk worth taking. Like, what are we gaining by taking that risk? Another caller got in touch after discovering that her 26-year-old partner viewed indecent AI images of children, but said they were not serious because the pictures, quote unquote, aren't real. The offender has since asked for help. At least they asked for help. A teacher asked for the charity's advice because her 37-year-old partner was viewing images that seemed illegal, but neither of them was sure if they were. Again, the rule of thumb on the internet: if it seems like it's illegal, it probably is. The LFF's Donald Findlater says some callers to its confidential Stop It Now helpline think that AI images are blurring the boundaries for what is illegal and morally wrong. This is a dangerous view. Some offenders think this material is in some way okay to create or view because there are no children being harmed, but this is wrong, he says. In some cases, AI abuse images might also be wrongly labeled or advertised as AI made, and the difference in realism is becoming harder to spot. Mr. Findlater says that deviant sexual fantasy is the strongest predictor of reoffending for anyone convicted of a sexual crime. If you feed that deviant fantasy, then you're making it more likely you're going to do harm to children, he said. So yes, I mean, I agree with all of that, obviously, but it really is the question of how much is giving in to your curiosity in this particular case going to cost you? Because I think it's going to cost a lot, and I don't think we're equipped to manage that. If you are a person who believes pedophilia can be cured, or pedophiles can be at least helped or stopped, which I think they can be stopped, I don't think they can be cured. Do we have the resources if this does spiral? Because as far as I know, we barely have the resources for real child porn online. Instagram is a cesspool alone. So imagine if now, along with the real, people are going to have to delve through fake and determine which is which, and determine which is a real person, and determine which child has been. This is just a shit show waiting to happen. I'm calling it right now. The charity says the number of callers citing AI images as a reason for their offending remains low, but is rising. The foundation is urging society to recognize the problem and lawmakers to do something to reduce the ease in which child sexual abuse material is made and published online. Although the charity would not name any specific sites where it found the imagery, one popular AI art website has been accused of allowing users to publish sexual and graphic images of very young models. When the BBC approached Civit.ai about the issue in November, the firm said it takes potential child sexual abuse material on the site very seriously and asks the community to report images that users consider to depict underage characters/people in a mature or photorealistic context. The LFF also warned that young people are creating child sexual abuse material without realizing the seriousness of the offense. One caller, for example, was concerned about his 12-year-old son who had used an AI app to create inappropriate topless pictures of his friends and then subsequently search for terms such as naked teen online. So yeah, this is another part of the AI problem, and this was very, very prevalent months ago at this point, when there were a bunch of very popular streamers where people basically AI'd them into sexual photos, sexual positions. They basically just made like porn out of them, and that was horrifying and I think scary for everyone, because such an invasion, so creepy, so weird. Truly, I cannot voice that enough. But if that can be done, there, that can be done here, which means that when people do use the excuse of, oh, well, this isn't hurting real children, well, it's okay. Just consider this, and this is an alarming example I got from another article that I'll link down below. In fact, I'll link a few. There was an AI image circulating where someone took like a class photo of 8-year-olds and AI generated their bodies into naked. A class photo of real children. And if that is not horrifying and petrifying to you, then I am sorry to say I think you're the problem. Because the issue is not the creation of the image itself, though that is fucked up, mind you, duh. The issue is that it will not stop there. The effects and ramifications will always carry over to real people. Because when it is no longer enough, people will resort, or even apps, you know, like it might not even be a sentient being doing it, you know, it depends on how well these apps are built, I guess. But they might resort to taking real pictures of children with their real faces and just photoshopping it basically onto a naked body, right? Where is the line drawn? And that brings me to my final point, which is regulation. AI should have been heavily regulated from the get-go, and I think that's my number one problem with AI. It was never AI as a general concept, it was the unregulated nature of it all, in both big and small respects. Big respects being crimes against children, and small respects being art being stolen, art being reproduced, artists losing money, like, you know, so like they're all important, mind you. But when we're talking about criminality scale, I don't know why this went unregulated for so long. And I also wonder, is it already too late for that? Because tendentially, I think yes, because the fact that people are even able to create child sexual abuse material out of nothing just via AI means we are already down the rabbit hole, and far down at that. Anyway, I'm worked up. I'm starting to sweat. It's like 1,000 degrees in my office. I am raging. Anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what kind of regulation you'd put in place, because I think that's part that's difficult for me, is like, how do you word this in a way where there are no loopholes for people to just be like, oh, well, technically, you know? That's the thing that I think is really scary, because people always find loopholes, but what is the most solid way to do that? Let me know, or should we just like abolish AI entirely? Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.